He kōna I purangi tēnei nā te reo irirangi o Aotearoa.
Cabbages, spring onions, silver bit, and broccoli.
You've got a bit of parsley too, I see.
Yeah, parsley, yeah.
This is Mosese Viliviliawa. He comes from the Kandavu Islands south of Fiji, and we're discussing vegetables. Not so surprising, given that he comes from a tradition of working the land for produce. But what's a bit more surprising is that we're in Christchurch, and when I visit him, it's midwinter. And yet Mosese's garden is still bursting with life, full of vegetables.
This Chinese cabbage, capsicum.
Just not necessarily the ones he's used to.
This is cereal, or what do you call it? Cereal?
Celery?
Celery, yeah.
So this impressive crop is contained within a hothouse he's built himself. It's where we're talking today, and it's a good 2 by 3 metres.
I just built this hothouse from scrap, just from these guys' offcuts. It's just for health and well-being, because right now the vegetables are very expensive, eh?
They sure are.
So, yeah, we try to minimize buying from the supermarket.
And not so long ago, this creation of Mosese's was put to the test. 7 seasonal workers from Fiji found themselves here in Christchurch without accommodation. Mosese put them up for 2 months and fed everyone, including his own family, wife and 2 kids, and a lot of the meals came out of this hothouse.
And I've been telling them we're just gonna eat whatever we eat every day. And we manage. And they see what's happening right over here. And 2, 3 of them, they got their house. And they've been planting as well. Yeah.
And tell me, what did you cook?
Like the things we can eat for like a lot of us. Like dal and vegetables.
So, for example, if you're going to cook dinner tonight, what kind of things would you pull fresh out today?
You can see some spring onions there. Like during dinner, we just cook anything, then we just look in the garden. Oh, we got some spring onion, and yeah, we just put in the pot.
So, how did I happen upon Mosese and his little oasis of green?
Oh, this is Mosese.
Well, I came here with one of his fellow countrymen.
Yeah, my name is Esala Wakamatawai. I came to New Zealand in 2017. We were given special medical council registration to work on our clinical skills. So practiced in Fiji for 12 years as a general surgical registrar. Did medicine in Fiji. So after 2017-18, I went back to Fiji, and I thought that there's better opportunity for the children here in Aotearoa compared to Fiji. So I resigned and came here.
Esala currently works as a Disability Information Coordinator for advisory services, including the Pacific provider Vakatotoa. But he's also doing a PhD at the University of Canterbury's Macmillan Brown Centre for Pacific Studies. His thesis looks at type 2 diabetes, and this gardening project is part of it.
Reducing the risk of type 2 diabetes in indigenous Fijians using cultural and practical ways. So gardening is a cultural and practical way that I thought can be used to mitigate rising non-communicable disease, and especially type 2 diabetes.
So while his shift from medicine to university study might seem like a bit of a change of pace, it's kind of not, because it's part of the bigger thinking about how lifestyle changes can affect our health.
There are modifiable and non-modifiable risk factors. Non-modifiable, we can't change anything, genetics, but modifiable risk factors, physical activity, diet, and obesity. And out of these 3, the most significant risk factor is obesity, and gardening is a way of making people move.
As a surgical registrar, Esala has seen the impact of type 2 diabetes on his country firsthand. He's performed many amputations and says there's now one every 7.5 hours in Fiji.
In Fiji, the Ministry of Health website, prevalence of type 2 diabetes is 30%. In other words, 1 in every 3 adults living with type 2 diabetes. So it is a big problem. And I guess going back to things that we've always done in the villages might be the way to go. Like gardening.
The research part of the gardening project's been funded and supported by groups within UC, the Cluster for Community and Urban Resilience, and the Pacific Ocean and Climate Crisis Assessment Project. There's been support too from the University of the South Pacific. And Isala has also involved his children's school, St Francis of Assisi.
So this was built just for the community garden. Last year these children planted here, they planted corn and beetroot. We had tomatoes in this plot, so we just distributed it to the community. Yeah, this is where we all started before going to the houses.
But the lion's share of the practical gardening has been done by the Kandavu Canterbury Club. So people like Mosese from the Kandavu Islands who now live here in Christchurch. Pegasus Health provided $5,000 towards the project, and that's been used for wood to build hothouses and also for barrels that people can plant in, because most of the club members are renting, so they're not allowed to dig in their gardens. That means if they move house, they can take their gardens with them. Some, like Mosese here, have really taken to the project. In fact, he's even started composting.
As you can see the content, and they have been putting like food
Scraps and things.
yeah, for compost. Maybe I'll try to do what's it called? Biogas. You can come back, you can see biogas here.
I look forward to it. But the benefits of this project for Mosese and his family have been more than monetary.
Learn new things and different kind of foods and new lifestyle, because we've been doing like a training program, and together with this gardening with kids and all the family.
What kind of things have you been doing?
Like walking and doing some touch rugby. Walking, what you call that hill up there? Rapaki. Some Saturdays. It's about what you eat, how you train yourself, how you feed yourself.
Now, there have been a few challenges. Like I say, these aren't the vegetables Mosese is used to. Back home, there's plenty of land to grow produce, and it's things like
cassava, taro, sweet potatoes, and taro leaves. We call it roro. Like the roro over here, it's 8 leaves. It costs like $8.
$1 per leaf.
Yeah.
Taro leaf. It's taro leaf.
Yeah.
And of course, the climate in Fiji is a bit more conducive to mid-year planting, or in fact, any time of the year planting.
Because in Fiji, we can just plant anytime we like. And in New Zealand, so we try to experiment. Whatever can be planted on winter season.
Are these tomatoes, Mosese?
That's eggplant.
How's the eggplant going?
I got like 4 out of it.
This eggplant is very expensive.
Like $7 for one, eh?
Well, if you got 4, that's already good going. Despite the challenges, Isala explains they're both here to give opportunities to their children.
Not just because we're migrants here to New Zealand to take the easy road. So I want them to work hard despite all the challenges. At the moment, I work full-time job at Vakatautua, and my wife works full-time as well. When we finish, we come home, prepare dinner for the children, and then we go and do our second job in cleaning, just to help. I think the cost of living in New Zealand is just too high. It's very expensive. Sometimes we miss home, want to go back, but I think it's a sacrifice that we all have to make for our children. And for Pacific people, family comes first.
As for Isala's own opportunities, ultimately he wants to get back to medicine, specifically research, something he says is not prioritised in Fiji.
There's lots of key information that can be used by not just Pacific peoples, but globally, especially in developing countries. I learned this when I was doing my master's in medicine.
He studied the prevalence of liver abscesses in Fiji, and his work was published in the World Journal of Surgery.
That's when I saw the impact that I can make by using research to help Pacific peoples. So liver abscess is very common in Fiji. Why is it common in Fiji? No one really knows. Maybe a prospective study might be needed.
Another thing he says is lacking is a tool that would identify the risk of diabetes for the Pacific community here in New Zealand.
That's something I want to change. And secondly, I want to show that even though we're migrant communities, we can go back to our roots as a way of mitigating health problems.
And he believes those roots can be found in simple things, like gardening, and that here, amongst the greenery of Mosese's hothouse, the seeds for change can be sown.
When I'm in a space like this, it's very peaceful. Mosese, what do you think when you're working in
Yeah. It's like at home.
So it's a little piece of veggie here in suburban Christchurch,
Yeah.
even if the vegetables are different.
And it builds a sense of pride as well to do something like what Moses has done. From nothing, he built all this, brought all the soil. It's like growing a family, apart from the real family, another family.
For your family, for your children,
Yeah.
what do they think of it?
They like it. They've been watering the garden, planting. They learn new things to plant whatever season.
And it's all just what Esala had hoped for with this project, encouraging learning, studying something new with a view to helping his people.
Everyone is learning.
Yeah.
Children are learning, parents are learning as well.
In fact, there's an expression from home that sums it up pretty well.
There's a saying in the islands, the crab will only follow the pathway or the direction that it learned from the parents. So it will go sideways if the parents are going sideways. Yeah, so it won't invent a new way of crawling. So it'll just follow the parents' footsteps.
Yeah.
So if we are doing this now, our children are looking, and touch wood, they'll do the same.